Hey, it's David here. It's been a little while since the first intro video, so I thought I'd try out my cell phone instead of my computer, which has a really low pixel camera on it, and this seems, well, it looks better. I hope it records better. Anyway, I was out walking. I always feel really embarrassed when I'm walking because I have to walk with a walking frame, and I really don't look old enough to have a walking frame, but it's the only way I can do my walking cycle, which is about 1 kilometre. And as is probably a common thing, when you go walking or running or doing exercise that gets your blood pumping, you know, your brain cells get full of oxygen, and it's always, I used to always bring a pen and paper when we used to go for really long walks in Hamilton, because I'd be walking and I'd be like, oh, what about this idea, and what about that idea, and oh my god, I've just fixed my plotting problem. Yeah, and it happens every time, and lately I just keep forgetting to bring pen and paper. It's really quite ironic, actually. But I was walking and I was thinking, I'm about due to do another one. I was planning on doing one every week if possible about transitioning and stuff, and it's such an odd sort of subject because it's different for everyone. And identity is so personal, and sometimes, well, most of the time, identity doesn't involve words. You don't say, well, you do say, like, I'm a writer, I write books, I'm a novelist, but the meaning behind those words they don't have the colour of the feeling, the strength of the feeling that you feel when you say those words. To me, novelist, book writer is sort of my bliss. It's like I've got a mate called Trevor who's this amazing musician, and he just breathes music. You watch him when he's on the guitar and he's just like totally blissed out. So his thing is music, but his feeling for music is bigger than the word, And so I was thinking all week, what can I talk about, And I've got a few serious subjects that I want to do a little bit of research into and see how I can talk about them later, but they're all, serious. And I was walking, so we're going back to the walking part. Sorry, I'm still hot and sweaty from going for my walk and brain distracted. And I was thinking about sort of my identity, my sense of self, my motivations. When I go for walks and it's not involving other people, I listen to like motivational speeches, just to sort of pump myself up emotionally. And I'm going to go back into 5,000 words today for NaNoWriMo. And I was thinking, maybe trying to figure out how to describe what it's like to be trans. People, they know what the word means, but they don't know what the feeling is, And I was remembering when I was in Form 2. I was 12 at the time, and I was having a really hard time. All the kids in my class were bullying me because I had PTSD. You poke me wrong and I explode. When you're 12 or 11 or 13, that's a fun toy. In young adult tween language, a classmate who randomly explodes at you for no apparent reason is fun. So they were really cruel and kept making me explode. And of course, because I didn't know what was wrong, I got really upset and angry and depressed and stuff because I couldn't control my own body. I couldn't control my own reaction. I knew it was inappropriate to react in that way. I just couldn't help it because no one had recognised that I had PTSD. I wish I could tell a few teachers off now, although half of them are unfortunately dead. So I had all of these kids bullying me because of the PTSD response. I had a teacher bullying me, at least one of them, but one I remember very particularly in Form 2, Mr. Stewart. He was a bit of an ass, and he decided that I was scum. So he did everything possible to annihilate me. And then I was getting bullied at home. My stepfather at the time was a bit of a control freak, and he had quite a lot of narcissistic, passive-aggressive sort of behaviours that I didn't recognise until I was much older. But I had pressure at home. There wasn't anywhere safe other than my bedroom, which could be interrupted at any moment. So I had nowhere safe. I had no friends. I went to school and got bullied, and came home and got bullied. There was nowhere. I didn't fit anywhere. There was no one around me who was like me. And I remember, I mean, it seems a bit dumb now, but when you're 12, you know, your world is 90% or 75% sort of fantasy. And when you breathe story, of course you're going to think of fiction. And I came to the conclusion, I convinced myself that I was an alien, which is, as I said, a little bit odd, but because if I was human, like everyone else, I'd fit in. I'd see someone like me, someone with my feelings and my awareness and the same feelings. I mean, as it was, the reason why I couldn't find anyone like me was because I was in a small coastal town school, so, you know, the cross-section of the population was just a bit too small, you know, because there are plenty of geeks and writers and delightful, wonderful weirdos out there. It's just they weren't in my school at the time. And so I came to believe that I had to be an alien. It was the only logical answer. And every day, when the bullying got really bad, I ran out onto the school field, far away from everyone, and I would sit and I would write stories about being an alien and my people coming to pick me up again, you know. And I'd imagine this big flying saucer, you know, something out of the Twilight Zone or whatever. Or I think it was probably Mulder and Scully, you know, back then. But would come and land on this ginormous, because we had a huge field for playing and athletics and stuff. And all of the bullies would get munched under the this flying saucer. And with that fantasy, with that story I was telling myself, I actually created a character. Originally her name was Cody. And after many years of everyone telling me that a girl can't be called Cody, I called her Cassandra Cody. And if you've read the books, you know that Cassandra Cody is a semi-main character, at least in Time Speaker. And the original story was that she was an alien, like me, and someone came and tried to pick her up, and they picked up a bunch of other people who they thought they were aliens as well, because they were looking for a particular alien. And then all the adventures started from there. You know, she travelled around the universe and saved everyone and blah blah blah. I think the story was really long by the end of it, by the time I changed it and turned it into a more familiar reincarnation. But why I'm trying to tell the story, because it seems a bit random, is that feeling. I looked around and there was no one like me. All the girls were not like me. They were interested in boys and going tee hee hee and all that irritating freaking cheerleader crap. And I'm saying that from a purely broad scale thing. I'm not saying cheerleaders suck. I'm just talking about the stereotypes. You know, the movie stereotypes with cheerleaders and they're laughing and they're blonde and they're bitchy and all of that. That's what I mean. I'm not actually saying all cheerleaders suck. I'm just trying to explain the stereotype. The girls around me were all girly and pink and short skirts and starting to blush and stuff around boys and you know, stealing their parents, their mother's makeup and trying to pretend to be adults and, you know, all the sort of things normal so-called girls go through. But I didn't fit with the boys either, because all the boys were, you know, grunt, we're men, let's play rugby and beat the crap out of each other, and I just, no matter where I looked, there was nothing that fit, that matched me. Movies, TV series, books, well, except there was one book where I felt some relation. There was a, what was it called? The Little White Horse. The main character was Maria Merriweather, and while I didn't identify with the girliness of her, she kicked ass. She was really quite a badass character, and you know, but she was the only character at the time, the only part of the world that I recognised like me. And when nothing is like you, to the point where you come to believe that you must be an alien, that's sort of what it's like to be trans. You know, you look around you and the people with a shaped body like you are doing things that just don't make sense. You just don't appeal. I mean, I've never liked makeup. I mean, you know, at points I've had to tolerate wearing it for, you know, formal occasions or when I had to work in an office and stuff like that, but I never liked it. There was never anyone around who was like me. And I just wanted to share that image of, you know, a girl, not really, well, I wouldn't say a 12-year-old is a little girl, but a girl, believing, looking around at the world and not seeing anything that's associated with her, nothing that to identify with, nothing at all where she fits. She doesn't fit anywhere, and this poor kid not fitting so much as to believe that they're an alien. I mean, I feel so sorry. I wish I could go back in time and hug younger self, you know. But that's okay, because that actual fantasy fed into what became the Time Speaker universe. So there was some function to the pain, but so many people, they use the words to identify themselves, to say what they are, who they are, but as I said before, the words don't really describe the feeling. They don't describe the deeper meaning. I mean, for me, writing is my breath. I see stories everywhere. I watch movies and I can predict the ending most of the time. And I mean, that doesn't mean I don't enjoy them, but I do usually know who the bad guy is, and who's going to die. Because I love stories so much. I love the power of myth. It's not just that I'm a writer and I write stories, yay, woo. It's actually, story is powerful, it's beautiful and excruciating, and my phone died. So, after clearing and stuff, I just wanted to summarize and basically, actually I don't really know what my point was. Identity isn't a simple thing, it's lots and lots of things, and even the words that we use are wholly inappropriate to actually properly describe the feeling behind each of those words that we use to describe our identity. And being trans isn't fun. It's not ooh, I want to be the other sex. It's not like a fashion statement or anything. It's a permanent, sometimes lifelong agony or sense of crushing isolation that you spend most of your life just breathing through, you know? And I think we all deserve the right to live the life that we are, live the life that we deserve, to get the help and the meaning medical and psychological help, to be able to step into the world finally as ourselves. And I hope the world gets better. There's less shitbags out there getting all making a personal issue of other people's lives and being cruel. I hope the future is better. I hope more people will understand, or at least understand enough to know that people don't choose to be trans. The only difference between declaring that they're trans and going through a transition and not is people choosing to live their life as they are, not as how people wish them to be. And that a word like transgender, is filled with so much more emotion, so much more agony, I guess, than anyone could possibly understand except us. And while many of us are strong enough, mostly, to hold that pain at bay, we shouldn't have to. We should be supported. We should have the other people reaching out and helping, instead of all this bullshit with trolls and bigotry and freaking church people saying that we can't be what we are because God doesn't make mistakes. Well, I actually don't think the divine makes mistakes. The mistake is assuming that owning certain kinds of genitalia has to mean that your identity fits in this little tiny pink or little tiny blue box. The mistake isn't the birth, the creation, or the creator. It's our interpretation of what genitals mean about identity. And one day, hopefully, society and humanity in general, I hope, will understand that identity isn't rigid and biology isn't all-encompassing. Who we are is bigger than just the genitals we have, or the language we speak, or even the religion we worship or have, or whatever. Identity is huge. It's bigger than the words, it's bigger than what other people think of you or of groups of people. It's so big, and we need to open our minds and our hearts to try and understand each other, try and understand that most people are trying to do the best they can with what they've got. And I even include the shitty trolls out there too. They believe what they're doing is the right thing. They believe, for whatever reason, that torturing these people, us people, is appropriate. I don't understand it, but I genuinely believe that a majority of people are good. They're just sometimes ignorant, sometimes lacking in empathy, or having too much noise in their own head and their own life to understand or to try to understand other people's lives, the other people's feelings behind those words. But I hope my story has given you some idea of what it's like to live and breathe when you're trans, even when you don't understand what that means. And to understand that identity is bigger, is so much bigger than the words that we use to describe them. And my phone is probably about to cut out again, so hopefully that was remotely understandable. When I get oxygen in my brain, I think in like 5 dimensions, so I do tend to be a bit, or appear to be a bit ditzy, but hopefully I was understandable. Have a good day.